Angel Holmes opens the book with a series of quiet but potent scenes, ordinary people in the throes of extraordinary hardship. There's a man standing in the kitchen after losing his job, a mother dealing with a child's sudden illness, a student drowning under pressure. These stories are told not to dramatize pain, but to make clear that toughness isn't the absence of hardship, it's what we build in its presence. She introduces the idea that resilience isn't a trait reserved for heroes or high achievers, it's a muscle anyone can strengthen. Holmes pushes against the popular myths of stoicism and silent suffering. Instead, she offers a new definition of mental toughness, a willingness to feel, to adapt, and to act, even when it hurts. The story of a woman named Alina takes center stage early on. Alina, a mid-level manager and single parent, felt crushed by the weight of expectations and her own self-doubt. But through guided journaling and small daily routines, she began to see herself as capable again. Holmes doesn't present this transformation as magic, but as work, deliberate, repetitive, honest work. Holmes explores the neuroscience of persistence, but not in a cold, detached way. She describes the brain as a frightened animal at times, loud, reactive, looking for patterns. She tells of a young man learning to sit beside his anxiety during early morning walks. That story becomes a metaphor throughout the book, walking with your fear, not trying to outrun it. One of the most touching stories is about Holmes herself, confronting her own moment of collapse during a family crisis. She narrates the small things that saved her, a handwritten note from a friend, the ritual of making tea, the act of getting dressed even on the hardest days. These scenes emphasize that mental toughness is built from the quietest victories. She breaks down how internal dialogue shapes our experience of struggle. Readers are introduced to a teenager named Mia who once believed every mistake meant she was doomed to fail. Through coaching and reflection, Mia learns to interrupt her own thoughts, replacing shame with curiosity. Holmes doesn't oversimplify this, it took months, and she shares the messiness of that journey. Holmes challenges the glorification of burnout culture. In one chapter, she shadows an entrepreneur on the brink of collapse. The man had confused exhaustion with dedication. Only when he began sleeping more and working less did he discover true endurance. Holmes writes this not as a surprise, but as a revolution against the old model of toughness. The book emphasizes microdecisions. A tired parent choosing to sit and breathe for 1 minute before reacting. A college student placing a sticky note on their laptop that reads, "You've survived every day so far." These aren't grand gestures, they're what Holmes calls the bricks of an unbreakable wall. Failure is reframed through the story of a small-town bakery owner who lost her business after a fire. What follows isn't just rebuilding, it's grieving, reassessing, realigning her identity. Holmes shows how embracing failure as a teacher, not a verdict, makes us braver the next time something goes wrong. The emotional weight of the book lifts in the chapters focused on movement and environment. Holmes shares how small shifts, changing a workspace, walking a new path, turning music on in the morning, can awaken resilience. She calls it pattern interrupt with purpose, and it feels like both a life hack and a grounding ritual. A beautiful chapter centers around rituals. Lighting a candle at the same time every night. Naming something good before sleep. She tells of a father and daughter who survived grief by planting a new tree every spring. These acts, while symbolic, become anchors of meaning when everything else feels uncertain. Holmes then moves into community-based resilience. She tells of a support group for divorced women who built weekly traditions, shared rides, offered job tips. Mental toughness, she argues, isn't always forged alone, it can be grown in safe, connected spaces. Her portrayal of strength as something shared is one of the book's most refreshing angles. Toward the end, Holmes gives the reader space to pause. There are no lists or commands, just open-ended questions. Who are you when no one's watching? What are your quiet wins? She encourages a kind of journaling that feels like conversation rather than performance. In the penultimate chapter, she circles back to many of the book's characters, showing where they are now. Some have made radical life changes. Others haven't. But all have found a deeper steadiness, a way to keep walking even when the ground still shifts beneath them. Their stories don't end with triumph, they end with continuation. The book closes not with a rallying cry, but with a whisper, that to be unbreakable is not to be untouched by life, but to let life touch you, shape you, and still find your feet. Holmes leaves us with the sense that toughness isn't about being hard, it's about becoming whole.